Caldwell Parish School Board meeting will come to order. Randy, will you lead us in prayer and we'll end in the pledge?
Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity to come together and do your work, Lord. Lord, we lift up our children, we lift up our administrators, we lift up our teachers, Lord, and all our support personnel, Lord. We lift them all up to you, Lord. Guide them in all that they do, Lord. And Lord, guide us in all that we do. Guide us in our speech, guide us in our thoughts, guide us in our understanding. Help us to make the right decisions. In Christ's name,
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Randy Rance.
Here.
Surprise, wasn't expecting him. Bo Barton. Melinda Ballard. Here. Maren Glass.
Here.
Maria Bass. Here. Gary Castles.
Here.
Johnny Fountain. Here.
All right, item A is executive committee report.
Went through all the checks, everything looks good. Sales taxes are down. I was just looking, our sales taxes are down 4 in the last 6 months. Buy at home, people. But we, I guess it's just the economy. And overall for the year now, we dropped into the negative too for the year, just by a half a point. It's still high.
Thank you, Randy.
We're
Yes.
gonna need to defer, I think, because she is not here yet.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, we can just
She
move
just
that.
hasn't made
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna,
it.
we
We
can
can
move
move
to
on
item
to
C.
item C.
all right. Item C is review and vote on approval of the following April 11th, 2024 board meeting, April 25th, 2024 policy minutes, May 1st, 2024 special board meeting, and May 1st, 2024 building and grounds committee.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Okay.
All right, item D is review and vote on approval of policy updates from fourth audit per recommendation from policy committee.
Yeah, we did meet,
Sorry? No, yeah, unless you want me to read them all.
no, I was just saying, we did, that's what I was about to ask Nick, I don't really wanna go through all these one by one. The only one I had issue with, and I think we dealt with it, which was, I think, security cameras and things like that, which one is that, Nick?
Okay.
Video and video monitoring.
Video,
School board
audio
property.
monitoring of school board property. So,
I don't know, Melinda, Miss John, you were there, right?
Yes.
Okay, did you guys have,
No, I was good with all the changes.
Maria, did you guys have a chance to look at it?
What was the changes?
it's, a new policy.
This is a new policy.
It's new law.
And I'm assuming, Alanda's not here, so.
She is at sixth grade orientation and coming in afterwards. So,
Mr., what's his name? No, you the secretary supervisor, had you had a chance to look at the policy?
Yes, sir, I was there the other day whenever y'all went through it.
And Mike, you okay with it? I think my concern was, and I think Nick, we did discuss it at length, and, there's no illegal recording and, things like that. There are times when people, can't be recorded without being known. None of this other stuff can be used, against you, at least it's not supposed to be. I think that was a concern. So, Mike, you may want to just kind of reiterate how this works so everybody can have a full understanding. Other than that, that's the only issue that I got.
Yep, so for the general, video, audio, they're in the hallways, they're there. The biggest thing was they can't be used, they can't be viewed unless there's someone there viewing it. So anybody outside that requests, we're working on those procedures, specific procedures of how they would request to see any video, and we don't allow them to copy it for security purposes, and a representative has to be there.
When you say they, who are you referring to?
Anyone who asks to view
But
an
not a school
incident.
employee.
that-
I mean, if Ms. Garcia
Unless
wants
they-
to see it, she can see it.
Unless they have a child there. Let me go back and look, go back and explain. So only building supervisors have access to their cameras. They can go and view it and do whatever they need to for security purposes for the students. This is if a parent wants to view something that they say has happened, there are specific procedures that we follow. I go in and look and review to see if there was an incident. They fill out a form before all of that, so there are specific procedures before they could ever view it. And then there's a district representative there while they're viewing it, not recording it. They cannot take it off the premises. So,
But our principals and supervisors have access to see it when they need to see it.
correct.
What about law officials?
If they fill out the request, or if
They
it's,
have to fill
if
out
it's
a
a,
request.
if it's a legal issue with a student, usually they go to the principal. The principal says, yes, I've already viewed that. We go through the process and we make a copy and give it to them for legal purposes.
So James, there's no cameras on buses, right?
Only on a few of them.
Special
Not all
ed buses.
buses are equipped.
Does a special ed bus have one?
No, sir, does not.
Is it accessible to have cameras to be put there in the event that, if something like that happens?
We could.
It could be used. So we're good on that?
We could put camera on the bus, yes.
How easy is it? How complicated?
It just have to go back to it would have to go back to the company in Alexandria, and they would have to do all the work.
Okay, so no bus other than the few got them right now?
That's correct.
So when we pull up on one of our elementary campuses, and I'm gonna just say the high school campus is our pre-K and our junior high. But when we pull up on an elementary campus, at what point are we being recorded?
The perimeter of the building is usually there in case a student leaves. We can see which direction they went.
So if I pull up there and get out of my car, I'm being recorded.
And what the policy states is that it is displayed very viewable on every entrance and around the building.
What
that
about
says you
audio?
are. Video and audio.
So if I pull up at Grayson, I get out of my car and I'm in the parking lot, and I tell my wife, I love you, baby, I miss you all day, and we started getting into an argument or something like that, and one of us did something crazy, and the kids were involved, and you could actually hear that whole conversation.
Depends on how far away from the building it is.
Parking lot.
Now, in that
Grayson.
instance, can it be used?
It would have to come through
From the
legal
law.
purposes, through the law enforcement, be subpoenaed. The whole big process is explained
So we
here.
got
and,
those.
So me and Barron went to the basketball game at Caldwell, and after the game, we walked out and we wanted to bash the coaches like parents do all the time about how bad they did the coaching job. So, or bash the officials. Could you hear that conversation?
Possibly.
But I don't have a problem with it being heard. I have a problem if it's going to be used against them at any point. Or if there's an individual faculty member who may have an issue, or may be talking about a principal, the superintendent, me, whoever. It's
Yeah.
not going to be used against them.
Correct.
I mean, do we have measures in place to, other than it's not going to be used against them?
It's
Because I
not
think it's needed. I
specifically
just
in
don't
this.
want to, because they have a right to express whatever it is that they express.
Have we
Correct.
ever called anybody in, to your knowledge, and spoke to them about a conversation that they had on our campus?
Not to my knowledge.
So we hadn't had to use it for that purpose yet.
Nobody has that much time to review.
Yeah,
Katie,
no-
you're a
nobody-
principal here.
nobody
Have you-
sits
have you
around
had
and
to use
watches
that
it.
in any way, shape, form?
To have a
With-
discussion with
yeah.
the employee about what they said to me, never.
So I'm almost certain you hear certain
I
conversations.
don't go and look for things.
Right.
I only go and look at cameras if there is an issue with a student, like if there's a fight
Mhm.
and they told me it happened here, or a student said somebody slapped me here. I can go back and review cameras that way, but I have so much to do that I don't have time to look at cameras all
Well,
day.
people say that all the time, but at some point, they do have a tendency to use it again. I don't have a problem with the policy. I have a problem if the policy is gonna be misused, because
Right.
we do know that, people have expressed what they wanna express, and then at some point, there's some type of retaliatory practice. So I just wanna make sure that whatever school we're at, not just your school, but any school, that they don't have that option to go back and be I guess, something used against them unfairly, because they should have the right, if they want to talk about me, that's their right. If they want to talk about the superintendent, that's their right. I just don't want to be used against them. And if that's my only issue, so if we can, I'm taking somebody's word that it's going to be okay. So other than that, I don't have an issue with the other aspects of the policy, Nick, unless there was some specific with that you wanted to
Do we
discuss.
have that posted, like at every campus?
That you're being viewed and that you're being on every campus, exterior.
And it's
going
required,
in.
and that's
And it's
what the-
required by the state for us to do that.
It has to be clearly marked, written
Yeah.
signs prominently displayed near the main entrance of the school building.
Oh, the sick leave, was that one we needed to discuss?
Yes. So, we did discuss it, but the only changes in this sick leave have to do with, if you want to look at it real quick, have to do with, defining
Thank you, Michael.
emergencies and added special circumstances. It changes from a physician to a clinician because there are family nurse practitioners.
Right, but then we talk about the days after the
Just
6th.
leave it the same for now.
That's the way you want it?
That's fine, it's fine. What we need to do eventually, a big discussion took up, we have a lot of people taking a lot of sick days and using them. What we need to do is educate people that if you, and I think we looked it up, Carla helped with this, yes? That, yeah, for 9-month employees, if you have 163 to 180 days, it can be used as a year in your retirement. So I think we just need to educate people that you can use your sick days for retirement, and so you don't feel like you have to burn through them all at a certain point, because then you're left without a teacher in a classroom, you've got a long-term sub. On a bus, you've got, trying to find a sub to drive a bus route, and so that discussion just came up because it's frustrating, but the policy is not changing. And what that was is that if you have repeated absences of less than 6 days because of illness, then you're fine. But once you go over, then you have to have a doctor's excuse.
So the issue of having 2 people being paid, that's not an issue now?
It is.
Well, because what I was saying, if we make the policy, it can go into effect January 1 of 2025, whatever, because I think you said that the issue was that we're paying more now, and what I want to do is make sure that the policy is reflective of what 2024, 2025 standards are versus 1980.
My recommendation is approve this policy, just so that we have the right language in it, and let's revisit if we wanted to make any changes to how we do.
Well, you're almost gonna have to make some changes if you're already paying now.
Here we are.
Yeah.
You can.
David,
We're definitely paying now.
Well, that's what I'm saying, so, we don't have to do it tonight, but
Right.
I think it needs to be done if you're already telling me that you're paying 2 people to do 1 job.
Yep.
And again, my issue is that if they obtain the 180 days or whatever, I don't feel comfortable dictating how they should spend them. But if we're having an issue with that, give them time to adjust to the new policy. And then whenever it takes effect, then everybody's on the same page. Because again, the first and foremost is to look out for, the system. And if we can prevent paying 2 people, to do 1 job, then I think we need to look at that.
Somebody explain that to me.
Yeah, I wonder how you can do that.
2 people to get 1 job. I don't understand.
Well, you have sick leave, if you have someone on sick leave,
Right.
And they have days.
and they have
And they
plenty of
can use
days
some
on
days.
books.
They use the day, but they still get their full salary.
And you're paying somebody to
But
fill
then
the
you're paying
clock.
a sub to take their
But
spot.
that's what sick leave's all about.
You're really not paying
Well,
them.
we got some sick leave that looks like it's just being excessively.
Well, but after the 6 or 7 days, what they're saying is that, it's, well, I'm gonna use the word, they feel like it's being more so abused, and it's not necessarily for sick purposes. It's for extracurricular,
You wanna go shopping?
vacation or whatever, which, again, I don't have a problem with that, but if it's causing the system a problem, I think we should make an adjustment to what's taking place so we can counter
Let me ask
the
this
money being
question.
spent.
So I have 10 days of sick leave. If I take off on one of those days, do you not pay somebody for me taking off?
Sure.
So we're already doing that.
Well, but after the
Well, if you're
6th,
doing it for a legitimate reason. at
Right.
that point. Yeah, I mean, if you're truly sick, you're taking off to go shopping.
But if you
And
have
now
somebody that,
my next question is, at the end, if I retire, if I'm correct, when I retired, I had a whole bunch of days left. I was paid for those days.
So we
You're
paid up to
paid up to
25.
right.
Paid up to what?
25.
Yeah, you're not paid
It's like a
100%.
quarter on the dollar.
Well, you're paid 25 days, if you have 100 days, yeah, that's a quarter.
So what happens with these people is, I've got 180 sick days built up, but I'm only getting 25% of them, so in their mind, they go, I might as well use my sick
Right.
days. Their mind, I'm supposed to be getting paid on them, and that's why they do that.
But you're financially better off to cash them in with the state and bump your retirement.
And then your retirement payment will be bigger.
They need to know that.
And
Yeah,
that's, we
Yeah,
feel
They need to know that.
that's what we talked about, to make sure that they are aware, and then if there are any changes, everybody's on the same page. Because again, we were trying to be fair to the individual and the system, and that's sometimes kind of hard balance. But if they can get more of a credit, if they put in a retirement, which is beneficial or advantageous, I think that's probably the best option that they can choose.
So if a person has 180 days built up, they don't even have to work the last year and it counts as.
Ain't gonna drop a year earlier. Right?
No,
Correct.
How does it work, Dave?
30. You have to get the
You got
30.
full 30,
Yep.
then you tack, so you're retiring with 31 rather than
What if
30.
you
Make it
retire,
right.
what if you retire at 20?
21.
You'd have
No,
to,
we wouldn't
Do
do
20
21.
and
20 and a half. 20 and-
You
The
gotta
main
meet,
thing
you
is
gotta
that you
meet
don't
their,
want people, like, if they're
whatever
fixing
their
to leave,
steps are.
yeah.
say, I'm tired of working, I'm fixing to
55,
retire anyway, I'm gonna take off for
30,
these last 2 months.
So for instance, if
You
David,
know-
if David were retired now,
And so that's not really fair to the system, and it's not.
We could hire
ethical.
somebody
You're
while
not
David-
sick the
right.
night
And it's
before.
not, and it's not fair to
well, I'm saying, we couldn't hire anybody because you're still an
That's
employee.
still a very good
But-
point.
and
You
we're
can't
paying
hire
somebody
a
else
person
to do
fill
a
that
job, so
place.
we're penalized for holding the position. And if that position was needed, it's not anything we can do, because legally you're still on the payroll. That's basically what we're dealing with.
Which means the students are left
Right.
with a sub
With a sub.
the whole time.
So what
Maybe the
I'm
same one.
saying.
And maybe not the same person.
Right,
Yeah.
and what I'm saying is, we know that that's happening. What is that we can do to move forward, to be in line with where we're at now? And that's the
It's
part
like
that we're
just
looking at.
educating them.
I mean, I think we batted around maybe going from 6 days to 4 days and required
The
a
level.
mental,
I think it's maybe like, just need to sit down and have a deeper discussion with just a few people and then give
Well,
out some ideas.
let's do this when school is out, first or second week, so we can kind of look at it and have something maybe in place. Even if we approve it in August, it doesn't have to go into effect till July.
So hold down the stick.
Yeah, January, I'm sorry.
So we table in the sick leave.
No, we can vote tonight.
Okay, vote to, these changes, so we can go back and read it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you guys okay with it.
All right, is everybody okay with everything? Do I hear a motion to approve it?
Are we good, y'all good with all the rest
All
of it?
good with the rest of it?
Okay.
we got, bids was added also.
Oh, that's
That
right,
was not
okay.
in
The last one, bids and quotations, was not for the policy committee, but the only changes, David,
Yeah, we're just upping the requirement, the bid amount to agree with the state bid law.
What is it?
250,000 on major projects, 60,000 on materials and supplies. Was 150 and 30 on those two items.
we didn't realize it was out of date until we were working on some federal monitoring reports, and we pulled it up, we were like, oh, our policy's wrong, so we need to add that.
So Dave, everything else is okay?
Yep.
All right, do I hear a motion to accept them?
Make the motion, we accept them.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor? Yeah. All right, we're going back to item B, let's recognize Isha Drone in memoriam as the May Employee of the Month, Scott Walker.
Good evening.
Y'all can tell we're doing something a little bit different tonight than we normally do. We're going to give an award in memory of someone who's grown, and Ms. Hillstead is going to tell us a little bit about that.
Each year, we get the May Employee of the Month, and we lost Miss Aisha in December, and so we decided as the faculty that it would be very nice to be able to present this to her family in honor of her. I wanted to talk about Miss Aisha for just a moment. She was a wonderful employee at Caldwell Parish Junior High for the past 4 years. She always greeted everyone with a smile. She was always willing to help any way that she could.
Miss Isha loved the students, and the students loved her. School has looked a lot different. Sorry. It's looked a lot different. She made a huge impact on the relationships with the students. They even started helping with concession and helped Mr. Kinney. We wanted to do this to honor her. So
I am proud on behalf of Health and Benefits and the school board to recognize in memory of Ms. Isha Drone, the May Employee of the Month.
our yearbooks today, and we had a yearbook signing, and our yearbook staff that we have full of students, they made a page in honor of her, and our students and staff wrote letters about her in honor of her. So I would like to present this to the family as well.
I'm gonna take one out front, yes, ma'am.
I'm missing one.
Jarrell, where's Jarrell?
He's at work.
Oh, okay.
He's at work.
Sorry.
That was a tough speech.
Thank y'all.
Yeah, I want to get a picture out front.
Hey, Nick, if you would for me, take a photo.
Take a photo of you. Okay. We're gonna walk out here and have a good time.
All right, y'all ready? All right, item E is the tennis program update. Coach Thomas.
Hold on, Mr. Council, I request this to be on there.
All right.
I did, after last month, Superintendent and I talked the very next day. And he asked if I would go and talk to Mr. Jones. And I did go and talk with him. Had a very good conversation. Wanted him to know that regardless as to what, he had heard on Facebook by telling him to go and look at the meeting, that they were discourating him or whatever, which was a total lie. Mr. Barton and I, we had questions, we had concerns, and we still have those. And tonight, hopefully, we'll be able to sit down and talk about it. I think, Elena, were you there? Did I talk? Yeah, talk with Elena, and which is the way things are supposed to go. So I wish adults be adults and stop acting like kids when they should be adults. When I have a question, I go directly to the source. I think I've proven that over 30-some years. I don't miss my words. I say exactly what it is I want to say. And I try to do it in a way that's pleasing to everybody. So he and I, we did have a good conversation. He knows that nobody here on this board was trying to get him fired, anything like that. So I always like to make sure that people that put out lies, I put the water on that fire myself. I don't need anybody else to do a job for me. Mr. Barton, I think he had some questions, concerns, because again, we are concerned about all of the sports, all of academics. And hopefully tonight we'll be able to move forward. I did get word that, well, somebody said he was going to another school. I talked with you the day at the awards banquet. He assured me that he wasn't going anywhere. Rumors travel just like ignorant folk. And I'm glad that we're able now to sit down and talk about it like we should, because again, when there are misunderstandings, they exist. I did receive, Nick, a text from Jim. And here's my issue with that. I don't have a problem with anybody sending me a message in support of. I have a problem when people that's not in support of, they get annihilated for not supporting something. So what I'm saying is, let's be fair. When you support it, send it to me. When you don't support it, send it to me. That's the way it should work. I don't think ulterior motives should, play a role in what we're doing, because at the end of the day, we get to the bottom. And if you notice, I always ask questions. I didn't get elected to sit on this board and listen to the preacher preach all the time. So I'm going to ask questions because I'm entitled to ask. I think my people that elected me, that want me to ask, I wish other people would take that same approach, and not saying specific to anybody in particular, because people wear their feelings on their shoulders, so I have to qualify what I say, because they don't understand it. But the superintendent is getting to know that a little bit about Barron, because her and I talk a lot. So at the end of the day, I'm hoping that we can move forward. Again, nobody was throwing dots at you. Nobody was shooting bullets at you. James, that goes for you as well, because you wasn't here. Again, I get tired of having to qualify what it is that I'm saying when I ask questions of people. We are here to ask questions, so don't take it personal. We're in your corner. Sometimes the question may be a little bit forward, but it's a question. So at the end of the day, it's not a position for you to want to retire or leave here or whatever. We're going to ask those, well, I'm going to ask those questions. And when I ask them, they're respectful. And hopefully we can move forward, with those things. And that's just not for you and Mr. Jones, that's for anybody that's in this room. I don't have a problem asking questions. For the next 2.5 years, I'm going to ask questions. And when I'm gone, hopefully somebody else will ask questions. But in the end, Nick and we did talk, and let's see where we at, and see how we move forward. Now, I can't speak for Bo. I'm quite certain he can speak for himself. So at the end of the day, thanks for coming.
All right, yes, sir. My favorite thing out of our conversation we had at school was you continue to say, let's move forward, learn to move forward, and that to me is keeps us from letting our mind just roll over and over and let our mind just play tricks on us that, oh, he's talking about me or they're talking about me. And so so I appreciate that when you did say move forward, because that's why I'm here. I just wanted to give y'all an update on tennis is over with for the year. We're starting fundraising in June for next year. I've six senior boys and 2 senior girls have graduated. So my boys team is basically decimated. There's only 2 kids coming back. One was a freshman, one was a junior. So I have been in the hallways looking for athletes, male athletes right now, because we only have 2. Now girls, we have 7 coming back. So we're already looking at next year. I put on here, we had 20 scheduled matches, 5 of them were rained out, and only 1 of those could be made up. Because once you start playing matches, everybody's schedule is just crazy. So the 14 we couldn't make up matches with was because either they had a match when I was open, or we had a match when they were open, and we just couldn't find a common date. And so we were able to pick up 2 unscheduled matches. Ash, Alexander Senior High, and Jennings. Both actually Jennings called Coach Shaw, and Ash called me and said, "Hey, we're passing through back from Monroe. we're passing through, and, can we stop, Caldwell's halfway, can we stop and play y'all? It's like, we don't have anything going, please do. So Jennings came through on a Saturday, Ash came through on a Thursday, when we didn't have anything done, anything going, so we were able to play those, and those were two quality matches that we needed. Of the scheduled matches on the LHSA website, I think there's 23 scheduled, because we picked up 2 with Bunkie, and I want to say there's 23 scheduled. There was 5 rainouts or 4 rainouts, because we were able to make up one. That doesn't include the 2 tournaments we went to play in. We played in the Bolton Cup, which I know now is one of the biggest tournaments in the state of Louisiana, besides the state tournament itself. We were able to bring 6 boys and 6 girls to the Bolton Cup. We played there. Matter of fact, Anna Kate Shaw finished. She went to the semifinals. She was the first girl to make it to the next day. The next day playing. So I want to say Coach Shaw and I were talking about it. He said first female to make it to the next day playing. So she eventually lost to the Division 5 state champ, which they play each other in Monroe regularly outside of school, and Anna Kate's beat her as many times as she's beat Anna Kate. So it's just one of those very evenly matched combinations. We were able to take 16 players to regionals. You could take 8 boys and 8 girls. We had 20, I think we finished the season with 21 players. So of the 16 we took, we invited the 5 that didn't qualify to play. We invited them to come with us, because when I talked to Ms. Garcia, it's about, if you don't see what you're fixing to have to go play against, then you don't know. And so I was talking to somebody earlier and said those freshmen were sat there with their jaw dropped when they were watching these Loyola Prep kids serve the ball 100 miles an hour, and I mean, and it wasn't on television. So it was eye-opening for all of us. We had 3 players out of that qualify for state. The doubles team, we were expecting to qualify for state, and then they played their guts out. They got beat in tiebreakers. We finished 3rd in regionals in team scoring behind Loyola Prep and Calvary Baptist. And that's who beat us out, was Loyola Prep and Calvary, and the kids just played their guts out. 2 of the kids that finished, that qualified for state, one is Anna Kate, the other is John Paul Shaw. They were the last 2 public school kids in the state tournament. So if you don't, every other sport is split, except for the minor ones, golf and tennis, but all the other ones are split. So if you look at a split, you know, they were the last 2 public school kids playing in the state tournament. So I mean, they're phenomenal players, and their hard work shows. We finished our season. This is probably my favorite part. We finished our season with a huge crawfish bowl. We played volleyball. We played spike ball. If y'all don't know what spike ball is, you need to look into it, because obviously the kids are beasts when it comes to spike ball. So while we were sitting there and we were getting a visit, this is my first year in tennis. I've been doing this 28 years, coaching, teaching. I've coached everything. This is my first year to do tennis, and I went into this not knowing what to expect. As a basketball coach, there's a network. As a baseball coach, football coach, there's a network of coaches that runs generations deep. You pick up the phone, you can get a scouting report on anybody. And I found out this year that tennis is the same way. And I found out because Coach Shaw I was able to kind of use him as a mentor, because I would always go to him with questions, and he was, you know, gracious to answer them and say, look, try this, and he would give suggestions. We would try it. If it worked, we stuck with it. And if it wasn't for his kind of guidance through there, I would have just been floundering and spent this entire first season just trying to learn. So I was able to sit back and glean with him, because when we walked into a tournament,
all the coaches there knew him, so he was able to introduce me to them. We were able to swap cell phone numbers. We were, you know, and so coming in this coming year, I don't have to go and look for these people's phone numbers or their contact numbers. We had a list of, I sat down with 3 of my senior boys, and before season ever started, and I said, write down every school on my board that you want to play. And every day I would pick 5 or 6 of them to call to see if we could get them on the schedule. And so, and we left them up there, because if they didn't answer, I would put a mark by them. And so the boys, those boys were able to go and find contact numbers for me to call. So they were, you know, they were a big part of, you know. And so when we were sitting there talking, I'm sorry, I rambled. When we were sitting there talking at our crawfish boil, I said, I need you as a group, I need you to answer 2 questions. What was the best thing that happened this year in tennis for you? And what is something we can work on, coaching, program, practice? What is something we can work on to improve? And the reason I asked them is because several of those kids, I know the 2 Shaws, have been playing tennis since they were little bitty. So they've been around tennis a long time. So I was able to get some feedback. And some of one of the big things that we discussed was not having a 7th period PE for tennis. And so I turned that over to administration. She says, hey, when we're doing scheduling, we'll look at it. So we went into to find out what we needed to improve on, because I know I can improve every day. And I just, you know, at first, if we're being honest, at first, I didn't know tennis was as big as it was. I've never been in a school with tennis before. Now I know that there are kids at Caldwell, West Monroe, West Washita, Oak Grove that we maybe seen play on TV, because these kids are really, really good. So that was eye-opening for me as a new tennis coach. And like I told Mr. Glass at the awards day, you know, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to work. I enjoy my job. I like the people I work with. I love the kids. I love the kids I work with, and I'm very content in my job, and I'm here to learn.
Well, for me, 2 things. At least you was man enough to acknowledge that you didn't know everything. There were some errors that were made, and there were some things that could have been done different. And that's the point where I wanted to get to. We already know that. Now what we got to do, change that and move forward. And I'm hoping that you've been able to develop a plan. Atlanta can help with whatever it is that you need. I think I told you that if there was a thing that you needed, give it to the superintendent, because they understand that this is something that's important to those kids, to make sure that they have all the things they need. So don't hesitate to get with them to find out whatever it is that you need. Secondly, I appreciate you coming and having enough courage and understanding that sometimes what you hear ain't necessarily what you need to hear, and you can always come to the sources to get what we need to get. But again, hopefully the kids would get what they need. Hopefully, I'm assuming there were a lot of kids that were at one point there. Hopefully they'll come out now. Hopefully they'll realize and see that Mr. Jones has a concern. He's concerned enough about the kids. Give them the open opportunity to come out and try it, and hopefully things will get better than what they were. We promised that we were going to do something, and hopefully, even though it didn't happen when we wanted to, the way that we wanted it to, hopefully now we can move forward and get to where we need to get to, and they won't feel left out. So hats off to you for at least having an understanding. And maybe it's because you're not from here, because most people from here, they can't do that. They'll take somebody else's word rather than doing what they need to do. And again, Barron don't mince his word, so if you hear, you understand what I'm saying. I wish you the best, and, again, if there's some issues that you have, go to the superintendent in Atlanta. And Atlanta, I think you probably feel, bad, because it seems like you always on the agenda every month for the since last year, since we dealt with
Ever
the
since I
hospital.
bragged on her about how
Yeah,
good of the
so,
job she did.
Because I'm always here.
But that's a good thing, Atlanta, because you are making strides, and at least you come. And I just applaud you, because I know how hard it is for you, and I know that, you got some strikes and a bullseye on your back. So at the end of the day, when we can help, we can, and when we can't, we do what we gotta do to, move forward. And that's just not for you, that's for anybody that work for us. Again, the goal is to educate, kids, and if we can give them some good things in the process, I'm all for it. So, Mr. Barton, you got any questions?
I got a question. Can I have my question?
Yes, ma'am, you can go way before me.
Okay. The way that it's ranked, is it kind of like a PowerPoint thing, like they do for football and all the other things?
They use the UTR ranking every time we put in our scores in the LHSAA. They use their UTR, like when we get ready to go, when we went to regionals, and this was my first experience with this. We went to regionals, we had a coaches meeting, and they said, okay, my girl was number one. She was in the finals last year of the regional singles girls tournament. The girl that beat her graduated, so my girl should be number one. And then they looked at me and said, your girl should be number two, because she was in the quarterfinals and the girl that beat her has graduated, which was the one who won the whole thing. And so that's how they went through. Now, when state came out, they took your regional finishes. And where you finished, Anna Kate finished second. She got beat in the final. She was the runner-up. She finished second. So the second place out of our regional was already in their bracket, as against somebody from a southern region. So they just went in and took that number out and put Anna Kate's name in, and then took that number out and put the other girl's name in for state. So.
My next question, social media. We have like the fishing team, a baseball team. Do you have a tennis team page?
We do not, and here is, and probably everything from here on out is just going to sound like excuses, but I'm terrible at social media. I don't figure you want to know what my cheeseburger looked like before I ate it. So I just never ever got into the posting on. Now, with that being said, I do Twitter stuff all the time for kids that I know that are going to play college ball or whatever from Caldwell, like Zach Hunt. I had nothing to do with baseball. I'm just a baseball fan, but I also knew Zach was going to South Ark, or had committed to South Ark. So I went and would tag South Ark in a little snippet of a video of Zach at a baseball game, because I was sitting there watching and I knew that he was going to play. So I do Twitter. I'm just not and that can be handled with, like, if I have a problem with my cell phone, I hand it to my 19-year-old twins. They punch buttons, hand it back, and it works. So that can be fixed with hey, at our first team meeting, raise your hand if you're a social media poster. And if every one of them doesn't raise their hand, they're not telling the truth. Problem.
Well, I know there's an Instagram for Caldwell Parish tennis.
Now, and they were putting pictures on that.
Okay.
I don't even have Instagram.
So I don't know that we're supposed to have that because of our policy.
Sure.
So can maybe you take that down, or can somebody
We
find out?
will work to take that down. There are procedures that we would have control of it,
Yeah.
so that it's written in our procedure manuals.
Yeah. And just make it
Yeah,
official.
I don't even know who made that. I don't know who made that. I just know that the kids would tell me, hey, did you see our pictures I uploaded our pictures to Instagram, and because I was always asking for pictures, and if you don't text them to me, I won't get them, or email me, I won't
And they
get
can
them.
do their own Instagram. That's not a big deal. It's just
can't be
Caldwell
called
High School,
Caldwell
it has to be
tennis, yeah,
official.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, but I think if it's got an appropriate administrator, it's no different than, Facebook. So, I mean,
Right,
if you're
well-
gonna give them one, you gotta give it to all of them, as long as it's going through the proper
Just go through the
channel.
procedure.
The protocol, yeah, it's not a problem.
Okay.
And I think you should have it.
Yeah.
But I also applaud you for not wanting it because it causes you more problems than it does. So I think that should be up to the coach's discretion.
It's
if you
really
don't
that
want
it's really not that I didn't want it, I just
Right.
didn't know, and I don't fool with it enough.
Well, I'm not gonna suggest one way or another, I think that's your
And it could be
decision.
something that you delegate to your booster, is some people that are over your booster club. that-
Well, but if you
As
do it,
long as they
if you
go
do
through
it
the
with the
right
booster
channels.
outside of the school, then you're gonna have problems. So if you have a Caldwell Parish page, it needs to be administrated by an employee from the school system. You can't have a booster club because it's co-mingled.
So if I'm reading between the lines, y'all are getting an assistant tennis coach?
There will probably be an employee who would do it for you.
I'm teasing, Mr. Bryant,
He
I'm
sounded like the police jury.
I'm teasing, Mr. Bryant.
But hey, I'm for it now.
That's fine.
I just don't know if the money's there.
We need to find the money. and-
But no, nigga, seriously.
There's
We
no
need the
money.
junior high.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping. Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm through.
I got just a couple questions and a couple statements for you, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir.
The first is, through all the comments that I got about tennis, not one was ever a berating comment about you, sir.
Thank you.
I can say that with great conviction.
That's probably the first time in my 30-year career, coaching career, that's
I can
happened.
honestly say that. Not one person has ever put you down as a man or even as a coach. And so, to be honest with you, whenever all this kind of started and stuff, I kind of watched you a little closer than I normally would. And I don't know how you do what you do. And so I need to ask you this.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to be the tennis coach next year?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, not having a seventh period, that's got to be fixed. That's got to be fixed. So here's my next question to you. Sitting in Elena's shoes, there's no way for you to have seventh period tennis if you're coaching basketball.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely no way to do it. Here's the next problem. The reason I said I feel for you is this. Sir, I don't know how do you know when you can practice tennis? Do you know when the date is?
Yes, sir. You can practice year round.
You
now.
can practice year round. So we never had a tennis practice until the end of basketball season, which
Yes, sir.
was, okay, that's not your fault, sir. It's not your fault. It's the fact that you are a basketball coach.
Yes, sir.
That's my favorite game to play. I would never coach basketball because number one, there's 30-something games a year, close to that. You're never home.
Ever.
You're never home. It takes away from your family. It takes away from everything. So, your basketball season went all the way to February, mid-February.
Yes, sir.
So normally, most high school coaches for tennis practice throughout the summer, which is also, I know all the stuff you guys got going on in the summer in
Yes, sir.
basketball. And I also know when you finish basketball, what starts right after that besides tennis? Elementary basketball,
That's right.
about 4 or 5 weeks of that. You have responsibility in that too as well, right?
Yes, sir.
So, coaching tennis and responsible for for Pee Wee basketball all at the same time.
Yes, sir.
You married?
Yes, sir.
Got kids?
I've raised 7.
And not only were you doing that, but you were also announcing girls softball games and boys
Just the baseball.
Just
yes,
the boys.
sir.
Okay,
Yes,
just
sir.
the boys baseball.
I love
Sir, I
softball.
don't know how you do it.
I love softball, but baseball's
It's your favorite. I get it. I understand that. So I don't know how you were doing all that.
My wife and I spend many quality minutes in the press box.
Yes,
at the
sir.
Baseball game. Or,
Yes, sir.
Or at the, she would drop me off a cheeseburger at the gym. So, and we would sit in the van and eat,
So I want you to be aware of this. So whenever this all began in the process that it began in October, I was totally against having a basketball coach as our tennis. I still
Yes,
am totally against having a basketball coach as a tennis coach because it cannot be done properly.
Yes, sir.
You cannot do it because something has to give.
Right.
You can only do so much to a man or a woman who is a coach. And when you are sitting there running all over the place 4 nights a week, and then you got kids on the tennis court going, Coach, when can we practice? And your basketball practice just started at 4. What do you do? Well, okay, guys, y'all hit it on your own. I'll be out there in a little while. I get it, okay? So I understand what you went through in that. And then when when elementary basketball starts, and you got to go in there and referee the games because there's nobody else to do it. I get it. So, but this would be my suggestion. Because if we don't do it this way, Elena, Nikki, anybody else that's making this decision, we're going to be right back where we were. He cannot do it. That is a good man, and that is a hard-working man. And I have not heard one person say that. But to sit here and pretend that Coach Jones done it right would be a lie. He did not do it right. He didn't do it right because he couldn't do it right. We put this gentleman in a situation to where sir, I don't know how you did it. I just don't, I mean, and here's what I want to tell you. Thank you for attempting it. Thank you, because I'm going to tell you, I went and visited one of my great friends, Coach Mickey McCarty at Neville one time. And he told me Charlie Brown, who is a longtime Hall of Fame coach, comes by and sees me once or twice a week. And he embraced someone who knew more about the game than he did. And when you take on Coach Shaw like that, that's tricky. That's really tricky to embrace him and say, what do you know? And any other coach for that matter. So to watch you grow, and I really want you to get better at it. And because I'm going to tell you, the guy that was there before you, one of the best offensive and defensive line coaches I've ever been around. But he didn't know jack about tennis, but he learned it. And I want to tell you that you can too, but I also want to say to Miss McCann and Elena, we got to give him the tools to do it. And if he's coaching basketball, Coach, if that's something that's big on your plate, then you might want to just say either I don't want to coach basketball or I don't want to coach tennis. Because if you don't coach, we're going to be right back where we were. We're going to be having practices that got canceled. We're going to be we can't be here because of this and that. I mean, it's just going to be right back where we were. And these kids that's coming up behind, they deserve it.
Yes, sir.
And I heard you say we had 8, and I can remember 38 and 42. And if you'll put that time and effort and energy in, those tennis courts that we built down there, and those tennis courts that the parish built right here at the ballpark, they won't go to waste. They'll be full. Yes, and these kids love it here. These parents love it here. And I think you're a good guy for the job. I just want to see you be a tennis coach, and whatever else he does, do it in the fall. I don't care if it's cross country. I don't care what it is, but take the guy where he's got time for his family. He's got time for his church. He's got time for his life. Because right now, Coach, I watch you. I'll be like, what the heck is he doing at a baseball game? How is this dude doing all this? I mean, I applaud your effort, but we need to help him. We need to help him. That's all I got.
Here's what Act 1 doesn't allow me to go across that line, so I'm not. I'm going to be real careful. And he's right, if that's the case. You got 2 sports conflicting with each other, and to be fair to you, to be fair to those other ones, my expectation would be that you guys find some type of remedy to be able to fix it so it'll be fair to him. Because you do JAG as well, right?
Yes, sir.
He'll just do it with his fear.
Yeah, because I mean, you don't want to catch yourself up and get into all this finger pointing and stuff like that. So if there can be some relief, Elena, maybe you can.
Yeah, we've already talked.
You know, you can work it out, and hopefully I don't have to bring tennis up for the next 2 years.
Exactly.
Because this is the 3rd time that it's brought up. But again, when you put everybody in the same room, you get to where you need to get to. you can't get to where you need to get to when somebody's here and somebody's here. And again, I appreciate you coming, having enough courage to come, not that you need it, but just to be able to come and do what you did, so I applaud you. And I'm glad that I had the opportunity to meet you and hope that everything can work out. And again, reach out to those individuals to get the help, you know, that you need.
And call me, please, if you don't. I'll run right up the road and me and Nikki will sit back down, or me and Alina will sit back down. We gotta get you where we need you. I don't wanna, I'm like Barron. We don't need to hear about it. Everything we hear about it from now on needs to be all good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
I have nothing else.
Anybody else?
And thank you for coming to church to hear two preachers. There's 7 of us here, and hopefully at some point, you know, somebody else will start preaching. But I'm gonna
You did.
what she did, so I give her. I know my mate, Mr. Wrench, would, but under the circumstances, I'll give you a little break. Yeah, so we're gonna give you a break on that, and hopefully everything will pan out. And I appreciate you coming tonight, because I think Nick had texted today that you wasn't coming. So Randy, that shows that you know, your heart is in the right place. So because you could have been at home where you need to be. You know, right.
Everybody that walked in looked at him and said, what are you doing here?
Thank you, Coach Jones.
Yes. Oh, Nick. No, we're not there yet.
All right.
Ask me to read it.
Item L is financial update.
All right.
Those kids asked me to read that.
Oh, okay.
Those kids asked me to read this, but I'm not reading it, I'll just give it to you. You guys can read it. Those kids asked me to read this, I'm not reading it, I'm not reading it to you.
All right.
I was hoping you were going to do financial update.
No, sir, no, sir. I got a bunch of questions for you on it, but go ahead. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
All right, no problem. 11 pages, first couple pages, you know, just a Word document. What's changed since the last time I was here was what is in red. NFP is down $79,000 for the month. That's not exactly the news. The big news is that the mid-year cut was $332,000.
The mid-year cut.
Mid-year cut,
Why so much?
because we lost 46 students.
Damn. So we lost them to what? Just maybe transfer.
Everywhere.
Really?
We reviewed the list, trying to figure out where people
Really?
are moving, people are.
46 on top of the 50-something from last year?
I don't remember the number.
It was
last year.
52, 53,
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah.
So we're at 109?
We're struggling.
So maybe at some point we can kind of get, you know, all the administrators together to kind of see what needs to happen to either, because I know when Angela's dealing with them, sometimes, you know, address may be wrong and they should be enrolled in school, but they're not, or they haven't enrolled in school, or the contact information, cell phone number's wrong, you can't get in contact. They're in the parish, they just hadn't enrolled in school, or they were at another school and they came back here, didn't get in. I don't know if that number could decrease it.
And we're fighting homeschool.
Yeah, right.
We're fighting the virtual
Right.
charter academy.
Mhm.
And if we can sit down and look at that MFP, I mean, because they take our MFP and are doing online classes, so, even to a point where the State Department called me I think it was 2 weeks ago, she was calling everybody, trying to figure out what are you doing with virtual, or trying to find where all these kids are going across the state.
And that's something we have to offer, right? As an alternative.
What, the virtual?
Virtual.
Well, they can drop and go to the virtual charter academy, you know, I mean, we can't stop them.
Mhm.
So,
But they can't go after October 1st because they don't have any money, right?
that's a good question.
They can go in at any point in time.
They can, but they don't get the MSP.
Because it's a public school and you can
Right.
transfer whenever,
Right.
and that's why they do the February adjustment.
Right.
Is for those days.
That's what I thought.
And there were even, we poured over this list, but we looked back, was it you and me, Kaylee, who looked over this list? There are kids who left and were gone on February 1, but
Right.
they're back.
Right.
But just
You
because
don't
they
get the
weren't
credit.
here on February
Yeah.
1, we don't get the credit
Right.
money for them. It's super frustrating.
But if it's 300-some thousand,
Yeah.
you can't take a hit like that.
No.
We have to find some way to offset
So,
it.
So one of the things that we're doing with our principals is we have a social media plan for this summer, just to try to keep the PR up for our schools. What can you expect when you come that you can't get at a virtual school, or you can't get somewhere else? You can only get it if you go to Caldwell Parish schools. And so each principal turned into me a weekly public relations plan, just trying to recruit and you know, entice people to want to choose public education.
So what happened to the bill, with regard?
That's what I've been
Okay.
texting about today. It's on the floor right now, so.
So we don't know whether it's gonna pass or fail.
No, the last that we heard last week was that Senator Katrina Andrews Jackson added the amendment about the accountability, which superintendents are supporting that, because if you're gonna take our money, then they need to be held to the same standards. They pulled it off last week, did some regrouping and did some town hall meetings trying to get everything changed, and tonight they're trying to slide something in differently.
Yeah.
So we're like, my group is going off, and it's like, text your senator now, and so we're texting.
When can we expect a
right now,
vote, Nikki?
Tonight.
Oh, it's going down now.
Unless they table it again, and of course, if, you know, it's politics.
Because the power of the state is south of here. And that's why all the deals are made on the floor, not in the committee meeting, which was my concern, even though we sent the information, you know, to the committee. You know, they say what they want to say, they're going to get on the floor.
And
when
then
the
you
deal
can
is made.
add whatever amendments,
Right.
and it's, I was watching it before we came in here and trying to keep up with it. They confuse everybody
What's the goal?
by adding this, taking away this, and then you ask questions and they don't even know what they're asking.
So-
Somebody said, what's AP? And the guy says, oh, I think it's ACT score. No, it's not. It's advanced placement.
So David, let's hypothetical. If they were to pass, what would be a projected or an approximate? We don't even know if that could affect us.
Oh, that would definitely affect us negatively,
So,
gigantically.
yeah,
You know, they're not funding this based on what we have.
right.
On what we have to pay for. I mean, there are so many fixed costs that we have that we can't eliminate.
Right.
I mean, we can't eliminate a school
Right.
because we only got 3 and the other 2 cannot house any one of the others. And that locks us in. I mean, it's not a
Right.
bad thing, it's just how we have developed over the years.
David, I
And then
disagree
the-
with you some
Sorry.
on that. I disagree with you some on that. I think
What
that,
school would you close?
well, I'm not talking about closing schools,
Okay.
I thought we were talking about this thing passing, where people can take their money and go somewhere else. In Caldwell Parish, where are you gonna go?
That's all.
We have the best.
No.
And I
We're
understand
talking
your
about
argument.
private school, they can,
I understand your argument. I mean, if we're in Washita Parish, I'd be gravely concerned,
Yes.
more than we are.
because there's 6
But-
private schools there.
But whenever they can jump off and go homeschooling or on the virtual,
But they're already getting it for that.
No,
how many
homeschooling is
more,
not.
how many more are going to join in?
Homeschooling is not. Like, if you do homeschool, that's what this bill would give you money to homeschool.
Oh, so
We're not getting
homeschool's
it.
in on this.
Homeschool's
Yeah.
not getting it.
And the other problem with this at the state level is in year 3, everybody, even those who were already going to private schools, qualify for this. And so how is the state going to fund all of these people that they've not been funding before? So, I mean, it's convoluted.
With that being said, I wonder what they do with that money, because it's like the public school doesn't get it, the private school doesn't get it, where's the money?
I wondered that same
I
question.
mean, it's,
Uh,
where's it going?
Yeah, on page
Going
9 of
there.
11, the mid-year cut was $30 million. I mean, where did that money go? And I had-
David, the real issue, which, you know, nobody wants to talk about, it's, you gotta look at the history, how these things evolve. The goal is to segregate, not on race, but class and status. Private schools want to have their own select, and everything else is over here. So at the end of the day, they're already saying that public schools are failing. So we want the failures to be in the failing schools, we want everybody else to go here. So it's not segregation on race, it's status and class, so, and that's what we're looking at. So people just need to, you know, broaden their mind and look at it, because that's where you're going. The powers that be have a goal to put this here and this here. And that's how you deal with it.
Well, and this is part of this superintendent report,
Right.
but it's relevant right now. So what we're fighting with them is if you're gonna pass it and give it, at least hold them to the same standards. At least make them take the same test so that a parent can say, oh yes, this school is better because they performed this on LEAP test and these did not. And they're
Right.
trying not to do it.
Right.
At the same time, Bessie is trying to pass a new proposal for accountability. And superintendents are supposed to have been at the table, and they were, but they're not hearing what we're saying. And so they put this out. We got simulations on Monday. And when I pulled those down and looked at it based on last year's test scores, they readjusting the accountability proposal, or the points you get, our high school will drop from an A to a D.
Right.
Under the new proposal. Only because they've changed the rules, and what they're doing is they're saying you don't get points for basic. Right now we get 80 points for basic. It's not enough, but we do. You only get points for your kids who are mastery and advanced. You only get points if you score 21 on your ACT or higher. So nothing under 21 anymore. The work keys goes to gold instead of silver, which is where we get a lot of our points. And then your Jumpstart credentials don't matter unless you have internships. And so in a parish like Caldwell, where are you going to put all these welders and carpenters and first responders and all of the, where are you going to find internships? And why are we making kids work when they've got I've got kids going to high school now, and you know, football, and if they make the baseball team, you've got that. When are you supposed to be a kid? And so automatically, just by changing the rules, the high school will go from an A to a D. Not only that, it's a bell curve. And so there's no A value, B value, C value. 10% are going to be A, 20% B, 40% C, 20% D, 10%. So no matter what happens, you're always looking for a target, and there's only going to be 10%. So you may be right at the cusp of getting there, but we pull it away because somebody else did too. And I'm not a paranoid person, but now I am.
Well, you should be.
I am now.
You'll never know where you fall. You don't have a scale to look at. You'll never know what you're going to be.
And right now, the current voucher program,
Till the end,
you can take a voucher if you're in a C or below school and go to a private school. Now you're already setting us up for 70% of all schools will be eligible for a voucher. So you can't tell me that's a coincidence.
So Kristen, based on what you do, I'm almost certain it's an adverse effect for us. What's your projection based on your year? I know you can't give a definitive, but obviously we will be hurt at some point or somehow.
Yeah, because like now with the high school, you have your grad rate cohort that takes into play your graduation rate, but it also gives you extra points for like those certifications. Right. If a kid gets an advanced certification or takes a CLEP test, you get 150 points for them. Or if they have a basic or advanced credential and they take dual enrollment, you get 115 or 110. So you got those extra points for them doing extra things. Right. Well, now they're taking all of that away.
So even though you built yourself up here, it means nothing. You drop it back down.
So your graduation rate will be your graduation rate. So if your graduation rate is a 96, you get 96. No extra.
No extra.
But they put the college and career readiness in another tab, and what she was talking about is, okay, if I get an advanced credential, it doesn't count for anything unless I have an internship to go with it. If I get a statewide basic credential, it doesn't mean anything unless I have an internship to go with it. So our problem is going to be, where in the world are we going to put these kids for internships?
Well, see, it's like you have a rural parish here, and you're putting us on a scale with East Feliciana Parish,
Baton Rouge, you have many companies to send the kids out.
It's mathematically impossible for us to, if we got one meal at $10,000, they got one meal at $100,000 or $500,000. It's no way possible that we can reach that goal.
We will never reach the bar.
So at the end of the day, again, you're setting yourself up for public schools to fail, and everything else is over there.
And all I keep hearing is public schools are failing our kids, But then I sit
intentional.
back and I look at all of our kids that just graduated from ULM this weekend. Did y'all see that all over Facebook? I mean, and I'm going to tell you, without saying, I can't say names, but there were kids who graduated with a 4-year degree in 4 years. who did not have a 21 on their ACT.
It could happen.
There were kids who did not even qualify for the university pathway because their ACT score was there. And I'm just gonna say this right now, I mean, I have 2 kids, one of them has less than a 21 and one of them has over a 21, and you know what, they both have degrees, and who's making more money? It's just, don't tell me we're failing our kids. I know we're not. I know that our kids are leaving here and they are ready for the future and they can do whatever. It's the narrative, and the narrative is tied into money, and they're taking the money and they're trying to get the money and have us do more and more and more and raise the bar here, but then taking away the money to help us do it. Super frustrated.
And those internships have to be paid.
That's what I
They
was gonna
can't have an
say.
internship without it being paid, so you not only have to find a place to put them, but you have to find a company willing to pay them for those hours, and a
mathematically
teacher to watch them and cover all of it.
And most people don't wanna deal with the insurance when it comes to interns
Exactly.
and all the other kind of stuff. So David, this right here has to be, we have to look at something to maybe offset this for July 1 of 25, 26.
That's paid.
I mean, 24, 25.
Yeah, that's paid.
Sorry, it opened, the door opened, so I had to
Yeah,
cut
that's
through
page
it.
7 of 11. You know, right now,
Retirement's looking better than
I'm
that.
kind of guessing that we might end up, I bet it does.
Them 180 days.
Grab it while you can.
Look down at this box down here, the bigger box. I have original budget, and that's for the original MFB budget. And then a couple lines down it has total general fund impact, $423,000. And then I have some favorable numbers there, you know, property taxes, timber sale, you know, indirect, interest earnings, indirect cost miscellaneous. So I expect that we're gonna have a total change in expected revenues around $89,000 negative, which is not 423,000, so that's a good thing, even though it's a negative number. Our original deficit was $350,000. I haven't really looked at expenditures closely, but without expenditures into the equation, you know, we could easily be around $439,000 negative for this year.
Which is exactly why we don't need to be getting totally zero, no.
There you go, thank you.
But, well, I'm saying because we need to pay our bills first.
Yeah, I understand,
Yeah.
and I agree with that. And then you look down to the net spots, which is all in red. Fiscal year 25, we have an amended budget roughly of $439,000 without doing expenditures. MFP change, $300,000. No timber sale, $405,000. So we just broke 1.1 million.
Yeah.
Now, and favorably, Christie mentioned retirement. On the retirement percentage, it's going to decrease, and that's going to save us about $200,000.
Insurance gonna go up.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it'll be wiped out, but at least there's a $200,000 savings on something.
And Dave, when a person retires, we're still holding that, some part of that percentage is
Yes.
coming out.
Yeah, we pay, if they work 29 years at one place and then they came here and worked for 1 year, we're on the hook for 100% of it.
Really?
Yes.
So
Which
Nick,
means, you know, the older people need to leave here and go elsewhere.
Somebody else's problem.
How many retirees did we recognize this year?
About 6.
So Dave, 6 retirees, what's that costing us, Dave? Roughly,
Probably $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year.
times 6 or 72,000.
Yeah.
That can add up,
Yes,
plus the one that came before that.
yep. That's exactly right. I mean, it is not good. One of the ladies I talked, one of the other business people I talked to is West Carroll, Angela Johnson. They had $1 million cut on MFP. It's like, holy cow. And they don't, I mean, they're worse than we are as far as prepared. I mean, they're like, we have no idea.
So Nick, the high school could ultimately not be an 8 this time next year.
If it passes, yes, yes. Yes.
That's
And
gonna be a
doing
mistake.
nothing different.
It would start with an SPS of 26.
26, okay, so 2 years.
Okay.
2 years.
Well, I'll be
from
going
now.
in.
Well, and my frustration is, I mean, one of the selling points of new industry coming in here is that we have such a strong public school system. And we do. I believe in this school system with everything that I have. but now we're gonna be a D.
But that's not fair to those students who have
It
did everything they
absolutely
need
is
to
not.
do, made every score that they need to make, and you're gonna take it from them, just out of thin air, take away what they've already
Because you're
earned.
changing the, you're
Yeah,
changing the
that's not
rules,
fair.
and the rules are being changed to make us look like we're failing, when we're not.
And again,
All the scholarships, I mean, look at all the
Oh, my
scholarships.
You look at, I mean, it just,
so where's Neil and Womack on this?
on which one?
This what we're talking about, the potential bill passing.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, I don't know how, don't know how he will vote today, but we've been texting, and he knows where we stand, and he's giving me thumbs up, so I'm hoping that, you know.
He voted against it.
He voted,
But it
okay.
passed 24 to 15, that's still in the House.
Oh, my God.
Said what now?
Okay,
Mr.
so,
Womack did vote against it, but it passed 24 to 15.
That's on the Senate side, right?
Senate side, it's going to the House now.
So we
I
need,
feel-
do we need to be texting Neil?
yes, when it comes up, which he and I have been texting all day, I mean, I'm telling you, our people are really good to us. They care about our rural, and so, if you have Glenn's number, thank him, if, you know, text him and thank him for voting, you know, for us.
It works like this, Nikki, if a better deal is on that floor, this shit, I mean, this texting that we're doing
Politics.
has nothing to do with
It's
it.
politics.
Which again, I just think it's unfair to those kids who have done what they needed to do to get the bar where it's at, and then you just come in with something out of thin air and take it away
No,
from them.
this is going to Bessie in June.
Yeah.
So that's what we need is, and I plan on meeting and probably even going to our industrial development board to see if they have anybody that they can reach out to that can put some influence on our, Bessie member. Ours is Lance Harris out of Alexandria, so I mean, that's who is ultimately gonna vote on that. And I'm gathering my data and getting ready to meet with him
How many
because
is on the Bessie board?
7,
11.
9.
11, I believe.
11, 3 are appointed and then there are, 8 elected.
So who is actually doing all this? Who is it, a certain politician, or is it?
It's hard to know. It's a committee, but the committee, I mean, like the 3 appointed are appointed by the governor. And so you've got a lot of politics involved in this. And we just are asking for our voices to be heard, and we're the ones who are, like, can tell you the real life successes and the real life struggles and the fact that how are we gonna afford these internships?
It's not hard to know, it's the governor. Just do it.
And Nick, the problem is you're not leveling the playing field.
That's right.
All we're saying is you can do what you want to do, just make the playing field level. That's the only issue that anybody I know,
Yes.
you know, have with it. So why would you do that?
We're not against parent
Right.
choice, but parents have, I mean, when you're making a choice, you need to know that the choice you're making is really the better choice
Right.
because you have apples and apples.
Just need to keep it fair.
Keep it fair. And quit, and if you're not gonna make them, why are you upping our ante? And it makes you jaded.
So Kristen, if in 26, let's say they drop down, how hard would it be to come back up from where you would be to legitimacy? Almost not impossible.
Well, I mean, the internships are gonna be a big deal
For
for
us.
that piece.
Right.
The other part is gonna be ACT and work keys, hitting that level. Because, which is, you know, tops is 20,
Right.
and it hasn't changed because the state average hasn't changed. So the state average is not a 21, so
Right.
where they're coming up with 21, I have no idea. But the academic part of it, because 75% is gonna come from EOC, with growth, and so we've gotta work on that academic part and keeping it up to offset
That's
the
gonna be
rest of it.
That's gonna be hard.
Well, it basically puts all of the classes that you take, it's in 6 classes. Of
Yeah.
all, I mean, the kids
EOC.
take how many classes to graduate?
24.
24, so out of 24 classes they take, everything falls
6
into
of them
6.
count.
So why would a teacher stay knowing that you just got punched in the face? I mean, I'm serious. Why, I would ask
You
myself, why
already
would I
have a
stay?
teacher shortage,
Right.
and now this is gonna be ugly.
I think one of the issues we have is job-based performance. And we use job-based performance based off of numbers and letters. And that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of, but yet we do it in public school. Because see, as bad as all this sounds, if we're doing our job, that kid is still gonna take the ACT, and he's still gonna make that grade, and the kids are still gonna perform. The credentials and the numbers has changed, and what's gonna happen is we go from A to F, who looks bad? Our administrators and our superintendent looks bad. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the kids are not still being educated.
The perception is
It's the
reality.
perception.
Yeah, if the average ACT was 21, they'd probably be looking at 22.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that way, you're
can't
pulling
get
all
it.
that out of it.
Well, and I just contend that an ACT score is not the end all.
Yeah, this is
I
not.
mean, I know what
Not
all
a-
those ACT
And neither
scores
is
are
a
that
leak
graduated this weekend.
Neither are the
Yeah, the
state.
leak
have
test,
to. I mean,
they
I
need to do
agree.
away with the leak test, period.
They need
It's
to
ridiculous.
Right.
And when you're looking at ACT, they make everybody take it. Everybody takes it. So you may have a 31, which is wonderful,
You may have 6.
but you may have a 10 that pulls that average down. Because everybody.
So everybody's required to take ACT,
Everybody takes
even if they're
ACT.
not going to college.
Everybody.
What's the
The
purpose?
state.
It's
For
a
us,
waste
for
of
us to
time.
get a number from the
For
state.
that number.
For us to get a number from the
Because if I'm not
state,
going to college, I'm not going to even try to make
you
it
don't
great.
care about
Right,
it.
yeah.
So
and
if
that's
you
why
got
we
10
have-
that's not going to
that's why we
college,
have-
and we have 10,
That's why we have kids making 10s.
well, I mean, this is,
But it goes back to us being a state who is number and letter based. I mean, and Nikki's contract is based off of numbers and letters. I hate that. I detest that. Because that does not mean whether or not.
Thanks, Lyle. I knew what about that.
Well, I mean, it is. I mean, every superintendent's is.
If you're exactly
I mean,
right.
everybody's
Yeah.
is. So you just, but that doesn't mean you're good or bad. I mean, in a teacher whose kids didn't do well on the EOC, that doesn't mean that she did or did not do her job. But that's the way this whole thing works, and I don't like it. I can't stand it.
so Chris, if they don't come and take the ACT, you get a 0, right?
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
If they are there and take it, you get a
You
0.
get whatever they.
So it's nowhere around, because I mean, if you know you got 50 students that's not going to school, college, why would you go and try to make
Well,
a good
and
grade?
that's why they added the work keys piece in it, because that's why we test work keys so much, because if they made a 10 on the ACT, but I could get them to a work key silver, that was equivalent to an 18, and they could use that to get top tech and go to Delta. But now they're upping that game to make it to a gold, which is equivalent to a 22 on the ACT.
I thought it was 24, is it 22?
It's 22.
Nikki, do we get extra money from the state because we are an A school?
No.
Mhm.
Do we get less money because we're a D school?
We actually, this is how backwards it is. We get money for our D school.
Yeah.
So whether we're a school or a D school really don't matter,
Public perception.
other than public perception?
Public perception and the fact that they can take vouchers and go somewhere else.
Because I would just about bet you that 90% of the students that just graduated high school can't tell you whether their school was an A, B, C, or D.
But the people that's looking at those numbers can.
Some of
And the
them.
people who are trying to locate here, and the businesses that we want to come here
When they look
are
at
looking
online,
to
it'll
see,
show it's a big-
what are your school systems good? Do I want to locate in Caldwell, or do I want to locate in Monroe? You know, absolutely.
Well, if that goes through, I mean, if the bell curve and all that goes through, it ain't just us that's supposed to
That's-
fail.
Well, no, it'll be
Because
everybody.
sweetheart, we in the top everywhere you look. So if we're gonna fall, so is every public school around. So I mean, where
And
they
that's
gonna
the
fall?
thing. That's all. Yeah.
You see, all that's good, but I ain't worried about the other ones. I'm worried about here.
Well, I
This
agree.
house is the one that's on fire that we're trying to put the water on. That's the neighbor, perception is reality. And no matter what you're doing, if they see that you're a D school, it doesn't matter with all these excuses and stuff that you tell them. They're not listening to that. Yeah, so it's just not,
Well, and I know Rebecca hadn't said it, but it's gonna affect her kids
oh yeah,
too,
special
because-
ed regardless.
Because they're not gonna take that voucher
Right.
and go to a private school, because the private school doesn't have to take it.
They don't want it.
Well, and I don't know that everybody has been in the room when I've said this, but if those pass, thinking back about some of the other comments that you guys made, one of the things is, of any parent with a child with disabilities, when they go to use that educational savings you know, whatever it is, they're gonna have to sign something that says that they understand that school's not gonna provide a free and appropriate education for them. So where do you think all of those kids are gonna land?
Right back here.
And it's,
Again,
Well, but that's where they are now.
yeah.
I mean, we already got them.
And
Yeah,
we
but-
love them.
Yes.
And we do
Exactly.
everything we possibly can
Exactly.
to make sure they exit high school and are ready for life after high school.
I saw them graduate the other night.
We graduated 100%.
We had
Yep.
the awards today. You had
100%.
kids getting a
Using it.
little thing, little medal. I mean, they're part of the community.
right.
Well, what we need to do is, just in case this thing continues to fall, is find a way to survive. Maybe.
I'll take that under.
Can somebody say retirement?
The 850 and all that.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Because, and our saving grace is hopefully hopefully the plant coming and the sales tax that comes in, and that some of that money could be used for the benefit side of the retirees. That would be the-
And also to improve the salaries of our employees who are working so tirelessly and underpaid, you know, because they're definitely underpaid. So hopefully that will also help, and that will help us attract more teachers. Yes.
So, I
It
mean,
all
there's-
works together.
We have a little bit more daylight than a lot of other parishes. And again, everybody's house is on fire, we worry about ours, right? I'm good with that technology. But, at least we have good fire equipment maybe. Let's see. What?
We got good insurance.
So Nick, my other question is, I know we got contracts coming up in June, next month. Maria being one of them, and you know, that was out of, so how we got a plan to offset
Oh, we're
that?
creative, yes.
Okay, well, I just wanna make sure
We
because.
applied for another grant and received it, and
You did?
we're able to pull her salary totally out of that grant for
Okay.
another year. So, we are, y'all, my team is so resourceful. We're constantly picking and trying to find any way we can move around and make things work for us.
Brave fun.
That's right, we brave funds, don't we?
So Dave, we looking at any potential cuts anywhere? You can't.
I mean, we cut wherever we can. But
Yeah, let me tell you how tough David is. We had two school nurses last year. I don't know if you know who the one is that we have left, but he told her that she wasn't getting a full-time replacement for the second job. So if he's willing to take it home with him,
That's right.
So you stood up to your wife?
By email.
I knew it had to be something.
It might have been a text, but it was not a
David said by email.
Turn the camera off.
Page 8 of 11, we've already talked about it, but I'm just calling your attention to it. This is where all the numbers come from the state. Page 9 of 11 is all the school boards. You know, we're highlighted there, and they're ranked on the far right on who gets the most MFP down to who gets the most. The other way around. Thank you. And then page 10 of 11 is a balance sheet that we've been showing for the past, since July 31. And we got $9.5 million in cash. We got about $2.5 million in receivables. Total assets $11.7 million. $674,000 in liabilities. Fund balance of $11 million. Sorry.
I'm just saying, we're not in terrible shape right now, but we can't bleed. We can't
But-
bleed.
Yeah.
Numbers are deceiving.
So I want you to, if you'll go back, I'm interrupting, go
That's
back to
right.
9/11, the 9 out of 11, and look at his highlighted yellow mark. If you look over, you see Caldwell, and then you see 1, 2. If you look at the columns, the red ones, 3, 4, and 5, that's how much money they're already taking out of MFP to go to virtual schools. So one of them is Louisiana Virtual Charter Academy, one is University View, and one is to other. So that's already how much money we're losing, which, I mean, is a lot to me, But if you look at everybody else too, you'll see, I mean, it's just, so we're fighting something we've never had to fight until COVID, and that's the virtual school.
One thing, back on something Randy said, of how quick it can go, the liabilities does not show the June, July, and August checks for the teachers. So they've already earned it, but no school board ever has reflected that number in the middle of the year. So that's probably like $2.5 million comes out. So then page 1111 is fiscal year 23 is in yellow, and then the last 6 or 7 columns are fiscal year 24, first 3 of the budget, first 4 of the budget, and then the current year-to-date as of March 31. And that's on a fund level basis, so you can see how the funds are performing. Federal grants theoretically should be at 0 at all times. That's how they're designed to operate, so that's the reason you see a lot of zeros there. And the top 7 or 8 lines, that's all general fund funds. So when we're talking about general fund, we're talking about just Fund 1, but there are 6 or 7 other handful of general funds. So none of which are really that big. So that's all I have. Unless y'all have something to add or question.
Anybody?
But you want to sit down and browse
That's
and
a
all,
pretty
look
good
at all this.
All right. Item D is the district leaders update.
We have brief updates. Ms. Riley, you're on the front row, you wanna start?
It's good to see you. Good to see you.
Feel a lot better, ready to go, trying to catch up. Allocation came, got loaded in the super app last week, so we're working on the super app, the whole parish.
And that's all those federal funds that you see on that last sheet, those are all the grants that we're working on in Super App.
And we try to stretch a little money that we get as far as possible, help each other out. One main reason that would be for our students, our kids. And they're working on a contract for Steve Harvey. He's going to be our parish-wide speaker at the beginning of school, August the 1st.
Say Steve Harvey?
Steve
Harvey. My favorite kid.
Yes, Steve Harvey.
No, it's not.
Not that Steve Harvey.
Don't take the day off. I'm coming.
How much are the tickets?
Rebecca's gonna try to find it.
I called him Steve Harvey. Yeah. Some Harvey, but anyway. Mr. Harvey, who got married. It's the first time I have a in-state speaker. He's teacher of the year, principal of the year, I guess you would say. National principal of the year.
Okay, so it's not the Steve Harvey then?
I think it's Robert. Okay, Rebecca's looking.
Got him on my thing here. Anyway. Ronnie Harvey.
Ronnie Harvey.
Ronnie. I know it's gonna come. And other things to catch up on, but that's basically it.
Rebecca? Okay, thanks. She's got a cough, so, no, you're good. Christie?
Testing went well, everything's done. Jumpstart Summer got fully approved, fully funded. So we've got 9 girls in CNA. I've got 11 students that will be in an introduction to logistics class that Delta's coming to teach. And then I've got 17 kids signed up for core to get the core certification to be able to take welding and carpentry when they get to that point. So we're gonna have those 3 classes running this summer.
Christie, how did we do on EOCs and LEAP and all
We
that?
won't know until August.
What about our LEAP?
Yeah, all of that.
Oh,
will
that's
be,
about
yeah.
August.
Yeah, I can go now because I can piggyback on that. We'll also have Right now, 11 kids working in the restaurant space downtown. It's been completely remodeled. We're not going to be open for business or anything in the month of June, but we're going to try to work on that safe, serve safe food handling certification and, just kind of practicing the routines of all that kind of stuff. The space looks great. These kids will be eligible for the same, for a stipend, just like the students in the other program. We're really excited, have a lot of great feedback from people from Main Street about going ahead with that. As far as MFP on the department's end, we right now have more kids identified with disabilities than we have in the past, probably 10, I know at least 10 years, because that's what's up on my wall. So, my team is working really hard to try to, they have gotten so many emails out this year, so much early identification, even to try to help in the early childhood space. So, they are working as hard as they possibly can to try to make sure all the kids get the services they need. And it's been another tough year for them because we've just been so busy, but they are amazing.
So you need some volunteers to come check out their practice stuff?
Yeah, as soon as you get home, if you don't need anybody to take care of you,
bed up
send
down
her
there.
back. We'll take her anytime.
We will be doing summer feeding throughout the month of June, and that will take place at the high school. Any child 18 and under can come in and eat free breakfast and lunch. So we have certain windows of time. It will be in the paper, on our district Facebook page. So if y'all know of any, kids that want home cooked meals through the summer, through June, we will be doing that at the high school.
So was that what you and I were texting about? Was that the same program or different?
This is, we're just continuing our feeding. There is not gonna be PEBT. There's a whole nother thing with that. It's only students who are already receiving benefits. They will receive extra, is from what I'm understanding. Where in the past couple of years, the PEBT was for any of our kids because we're CP, we all eat free. So all of our kids got that extra money, but this summer, it's only gonna be those that are already receiving the benefits, so. But this is just a continuation. It's going to be the same meals that we serve throughout the year. We're just continuing through the month of June in conjunction with our summer school kids. We're hoping our football team, they're coming, any athletic camps or whatever, but any child off the street can come in and eat. It doesn't even have to be one of ours, if they're 18 and under. And of course, we don't card them, but they get to eat.
Shannon, you have been doing a wonderful job in that position.
Well, thank you.
And just glad to know that you adjusted, and I go on record. In the last 32 years, I think you're probably the best one.
Well, thank you very much.
And that's no slight to anybody else.
That's right.
You've been compassionate about it. You've been forthcoming. And you really dug in deep to try to make sure that everything that could be done is done. So I'm not saying that the superintendent will never tell you this, but I think we're proud of you.
Well, thank you.
Well, in today's time, you always hear the negative. You never hear nothing good. So I just try, when I see the opportunity, I just give it, and I mean it. So I think you've done a good job. And I've watched you, from day one, and I'm just proud of you.
Thank you.
Even though I'm kind of biased. You know why.
I'm proud of you too.
Thank you.
I don't have much to piggyback on that. Summer school's about to get going for elementary. It's just our literacy remediation. We have around 100 kids that will be attending. It'll be at Columbia Elementary. They will have breakfast and lunch, bus drop-off points, just like typical summer school, but our focus is just on literacy and meeting the requirements of Bulletin 1566. We've talked to every parent multiple times, but we've made additional phone calls and information to give them updates on the progress. Every child has made progress I'm happy to say. And to piggyback on what Ms. Meredith said about, all the evals, the opposite end of that is we're having kids that are testing out of special education because what we're doing is working.
So Kim, it's almost a full year. How has centers played a role? How's it going? Nobody said anything about it. I know we should be smoothed out now. Have people made the adjustments that need to be made? And are we going in the right direction? Because those are things, because we're getting on almost the end of the year with it. So I'd just like to know, in your opinion, how things are going. What do we need to do to maybe make it better, if anything, or what is it that we need to do to move forward?
I think with 100% certainty, it has been the best thing that we could have done. Did we find some little
Expected
things that we didn't plan for and expect? Yes.
What else expected?
Like kindergartners putting in their lunch numbers. We didn't realize every kindergartner, 100 kids not have ever using a POS system. So we've already fixed that problem. But there were little things, but everybody was very gracious and very willing, and our teachers are amazing. They're just the most flexible, willing, and servant-hearted people that I know. And your leaders they went above and beyond with the social media aspect and public and being very welcoming into the schools. And they're not going to stop that just because it's been a year. They have been so excited about making plans for next year. We had to kind of pump their brakes to say we're not there yet. So they're leaving this year excited about next year, and that's not something that you typically do.
I visited all the schools, and I was real impressed with all of them. How much that they have done and grown. I was in the music at Columbia, and it was just amazing what the teacher was doing to them. And it was, I'm sure that is going to reflect years down the road, because they are learning so much right there. And not just, that helps in all types of situations. I know math, it helps in math, and they just, who's to say we're not going to have a band come out of this?
Yeah, well, and I've seen more kids not want to go home for summer than I've ever seen at these awards programs and just end of the year. They don't want that, they love school. And that's what our goal was for kids to have fun at school and love school, but learn at the same time. And we're getting so good professionally as well. Our teachers and our leaders, and even myself, we've grown professionally through this whole process. So that's been another plus.
So Superintendent, what's your perception of how it's going, where we at? Is there anything we need to do to move forward versus, because the reason I'm asking is because this is the last meeting before school is out. So has any type survey been done maybe?
My fingers are crossed to tell y'all that.
Just kind of see, we know we're still not going to have 100% buy-in. That's fine, but we're in the first phase, the first year. Obviously, that's where we're at, so we need to move forward. So in your opinion?
We send out surveys and are sending out, and I'm monitoring those numbers, and I'm texting principals every day, telling them,
participate.
Parents, please fill out the survey. We are surveying teachers, support staff, parents, and then students from 4th grade up, because you have to be able to read all the surveys, and there are open-ended questions like, what is something my school does well? What can my school do better? And with the kids, it's based on our district strategic plan, and it's talk about, choices that you have been able to have in your classes, talk about goals that you've set and that you've reached, because we're really talking about student ownership. And so those surveys are going out. They're not due till May the 23rd, so we're constantly trying to get more feedback, because we want to know, where do we need to improve? what are some things, how do you like this, and what do we need to do differently? So hopefully parents will continue to
So
fill
this
those
is
surveys
going
out.
out through the,
It goes out
Dojo?
through Dojo and like
Text?
email, text messages. I got mine from the junior high via text.
So a
anyway,
parent should be able to get to it. If they want to get to it, they should be able to get to it.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So if your information is updated in the system, it's automatically emailing you and texting you.
And all of our kids have toured the school that they're going to.
I love that too.
And,
So they have,
Yeah.
how did y'all arrange that?
well,
Creative.
No, I mean, I think it's
it's
fascinating.
a puzzle, just like anything else that we plan. We get together and the principals and we plan. And we talk about, well, what can we do here, what we can do here, and they scheduled and they planned what they wanted to do with the kids.
So they actually made that teacher potential? Really? I wish I would have liked to have seen that. I think that's very,
They have
I think
pictures
it's
on
very
Facebook.
good.
You can volunteer next year. We had some girls volunteer and they came in and they were just like, oh my gosh.
Well, during the summer, you have an idea of what it's going to be like. You can foresee some things. Hopefully, relationships like that will develop with the parent and the teacher, because the goal is to get that relationship, open enough to where there's, some trust. Because I think if you can get the parent to buy into the teacher, then you're about 75% to success with the kid.
And our principals have even posted where they're gonna be
Really?
at the school and available, like for kids that need to come back, that are still a little anxious, or parents that weren't, that wanna come tour with the kid. So
Oh,
they're,
they can do that? Okay. I think that's a brilliant idea. Yeah.
Simmons?
Oh, we've had lots of awards days, graduation, scholars banquet, everything starting to wind down. 5 more days, knock on wood, everything stays smooth.
Short and sweet, thank you.
Got a couple of things going on. We're working on inventorying all the devices that are across the system so we can make sure next year we've got enough laptops, Chromebooks, and everything in working order. If we need to fix them, we can over the
So
summer.
if the Chromebook is not turned in, what happens?
I know at the high school, because I'm there, each school kind of has a different process. If it's not, they're put on the O list, and it follows them all the way through until they're ready to graduate. They don't pay for it, they can't graduate because they owe it for the school system. And they sign, every year you sign an acceptable use of internet and property, which is the Chromebook. So,
Do you have any kind of average of how many don't show back in?
I couldn't tell you, it's probably different for every school.
Should be pretty low.
It has gotten a lot lower over the last 2 years, I'll give you that. Looking at how many we have come in.
Chromebook costs a lot.
It depends on the price, it's anywhere from $250 to $400, depending on what models we get. Yeah, the little ones don't take home. This last year, junior high didn't take home, so the high school was the only ones that did.
Okay.
And that's generally where our higher percentage of breakage, but these are all covered. Yeah. The other thing I want to kind of go off what Ms. Meredith said, we're working to extend the network to the cafe downtown. So not only is it just a cafe, but it is a classroom learning environment with the benefits of all of our network tied in there too.
Well, Nick and Mike is another one that, with the tragic that he had to deal with, the loss of your wife, you stepped in. I mean, you have done a wonderful job in what you're doing. I mean, you're always able to ask questions. You're always there at the moment of a text. You do a lot of stuff. I just think, flowers need to be given. And you have really made the YouTube beneficial for people who can't come to the meeting. And there are more people who actually know what's going on, which they should. I think, other governmental bodies probably should follow suit, but I think you did that, and everything that we do is almost, accessible to people that can't make it. So
I got to give that to Ms. McCann, because every other district, their superintendents have said, quit. We had to start that during COVID where we had to broadcast.
Right.
And Ms. McCann said, she wants it to be clear and open so that they can see we're not trying to hide anything.
Yeah,
So we
and again,
continue.
you're the brains behind that, and you're doing a
Appreciate
good
it.
job, and there's never a time that you can't get in contact with Mike. You're always on the beat, texting back, you can answer questions. Hopefully we can eliminate some of the issues that we've been having, with the computers and stuff like that, so hopefully you can get to that.
Yeah.
And, because that's a problem if we can eliminate, not just in one place, but all places.
All places. That's where we're trying to get a handle on what we got, what we can fix and put back into service. The last thing is, and I kind of mentioned it last month, that the Rave security app called the Rave Panic Button that unites, all of our building leaders and everything. We're going to run a drill on the 23rd, and it'll be a silent drill. Nobody will, know anything. But it's in conjunction with the state police, the 911 office, sheriff's office, and we've gotten all the teachers trained, most of the teachers trained at every site, including the sheriff's department. So everybody's on board. I think it's going to be real beneficial.
That test is only at the high school, right?
Only at the high school. Well, it's high school and pre-K because they're tied into one staff.
Are we still having students there on the 23rd?
No, that's why we chose that day. It's the teacher's last day. It'll be minimal staff.
Good
No
job, Mike.
students. Thank you.
Everybody? All right, item H is superintendent's report.
All right. Last official student day is Wednesday, the 22nd. Last employee day is next Thursday. We talked about the legislator and the Senate Bill 313. Talked about the accountability proposal. In your folder, you have my letter of intent to renew my contract. So that's by law, the time for me to do that. So make sure you have that.
Well, we could not renew it because we gotta give you 180-day notice. So, why can't?
Well, my contract, it expires December 31st.
Yeah, we have to give you 180-day notice.
Yeah.
You remember, we went to Supreme Court on that because we didn't do Dr. Wright. So you have to give 180-day notice. So, hey.
That's just my letter telling you I want to, sometimes I wonder why, but no, I love my job.
So, how many?
I really do.
How many contracts
Some
we
of
got
it.
coming up
Pardon?
in June? How many we got? Maria? There should be,
Oh, do I think-
because we did a 2-year contract, so it should be 2 years is up. We should have several contracts coming up for
What
renewal.
about Rhonda? Is she on the same?
Yeah, it should be a lot of contracts coming up for renewal.
I thought we tried to put everybody at the, I looked at you because I thought we tried to put everybody at the same
Yeah,
time.
but, they got a 2-year contract.
Yeah.
And so yours should be coming up now.
December 31st.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Because of the new
Yeah.
board coming in,
Right.
I could only do.
But I think
like a
everybody
2.5.
else was on a 2-year, and it should be coming up this 2024,
Okay,
yeah.
we will look at that.
Yeah, I'm almost certain.
Make a
Unless
note,
I'm wrong.
we'll pull that up, so, yeah.
All you got? Anybody else got anything?
Yeah, Mr. Castles, Melinda and I, we've been talking, for, I guess, a brief period of time. We would like the board to consider, at the next meeting, hanging a banner for, Pam Kelly and Yvonne McKippen, and naming the basketball tournament, the Pam Kelly and Yvonne McKippen basketball tournament. Yeah, those individuals that have contributed, to Caldwell, and it's only fitting. And I think, Ms. McKippen has, been just, a wonderful asset, when they were here. Pam, along with Ms. Holiday, because I think she's in the Hall of Fame, right?
She did.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah,
She did
so it's
that.
just
That's
fitting
rare.
that,
That's why I didn't know who-
yeah, if we could, whatever name, Elena, athletic director, I'll let them work it out. But, as long as they kind of surface that, make it fitting. And I think it'll be something that could be good for athletics here. And if we got anybody, football or whatever, we can, consider that as well. But it's only fitting to do that. So if Nikki, if you can just prepare a resolution, for the next board meeting. And
Tell me the three names again.
Kelly,
Pam
McKippen,
Kelly, Yvonne
and,
McKippen, and
Gay
Dave.
Holiday.
If I'm not mistaken, Pam played for Miss McKippen, and then she retired, and then Gay came in, and
Okay.
that's when they got the
Championship
state.
team,
So
yeah.
I think she played for both.
Okay, cool. All right, I got it.
And Gary said he didn't get his ring.
Hey,
Randy strongly objected to that, so he say, well, they even get me rings in, so I left it alone. I can't beat that one. But I just think it's fitting to,
Randy also said he never took a standardized test either.
And he turned out just fine.
Just fine.
and Nick, I think for the record that, you know, people think that, you know, Bo and I somehow dislike you or whatever because we disagree with us, and you and I have talked about this. I just think the public needs to be aware of that. There's no issues of any kind. You and I talk at least 2 or 3 times a week, text back and forth. When we agree, we agree. When we disagree, we disagree. I think Mr. Barton can speak for himself. So I think when progress is being made, people always try to tear it down, but they're not going to be able to do that because I think we all should be wise enough to do the right thing when it comes to kids. So no matter what the street committee say, you always can hear from me.
Thank you. We're all on the same team.
For the kids.
That's right.
Y'all ready to go home? I make a motion. Second.